All right, what I'm doing today is I want to record this session, and once the session has been recorded and processed, I'll send everyone who's registered today a link of this recorded session. You're welcome to share it widely among all of your friends and colleagues in your region and state. And everyone who's registered will receive a 1 hour CEU credit certificate. You just enter your name and make a copy for your records, and hopefully that'll help some of you that need to continue to get CEU credits for your licensing and certification. Today's session, 1 hour length. I think we'll cut it a little bit short today and open it up for more Q&A. Get ready for that. So if you have questions, if you have comments, feel free to write them in any time that we're on today in the chat option. It should be on your toolbar at the end. It says more. There should be 3 horizontal dots. You can just point your cursor at that and then you'll see the chat option. So as you can see, the topic for today, 1 session, vaping, that is e-cigarettes, as well as marijuana prevention plus wellness programs and training. 4 objectives for today. The first is that we'll be exploring the contents of the vaping and the marijuana prevention plus wellness programs. They're parallel programs. They're very similar. I'll explain the similarities and differences today. We'll look at the manuals for the high school, middle school, and elementary school versions for these programs. We'll be talking about it. We won't be able to look at all of them, but if you have something you want to see, ask me, and I'll certainly do my best to make sure that you get what you want during this training. And then if you want to see a sample of our programs at any time, you could request them. We send e-copies or redacted samples of our programs to anybody that asks. All you have to do is send us a request at info at preventionpluswellness.com. That's info@preventionpluswellness.com, or just go to our website, preventionpluswellness.com, and in the lower right-hand corner, you'll see a little live chat link you can click on, and then you can request a copy of any of our programs. We're happy to email them to you. That's the first objective. We're going to explore the contents, look at the manuals. All of our programs, well, most of our programs come with a physical manual. In addition to that, we'll be looking at the scripts for providing these 2 particular programs today, the vaping and marijuana PPW programs. We'll look at the scripts for providing these programs to youth individually and in groups, in person and online. Of course, with pandemic, COVID-19, a lot of prevention specialists and health providers and teachers across the country and abroad are having to go online, at least for part of their prevention services. So we'll talk about all of that. Very easy to do. All the tools are included in Prevention Plus Wellness programs and training. 3, we'll review the PowerPoint slides, give you a sense of what the slides look like. You present slides when you provide your program to youth. And we will talk about the reproducible materials that come with your program. You get a manual, you get a digital download. You just copy that to your computer. That includes your PowerPoint slides and all of your reproducible materials, so you don't have to purchase anything else beyond that single purchase for the program. So it's really, really cost-effective program. You can make copies of everything you need to provide your program to countless young people. Lastly, we'll be talking about how to, and you'll be able to identify online program implementation and evaluation training tools and support that we offer on our website, preventionpluswellness.com. So all of that and more today. And before we go any further, let's try this. I'm going to launch a poll. It's a 3-question poll just to get everybody to participate a little bit and to get a sense of who's on with us today. We have a almost filled session today. And so you'll see 3 questions. Some of them are, the first one just yes or no. The others, I think 2 and 3 are actually multiple choice. You'll have to scroll down to see all 3 questions. Once you see the questions, please do answer them so we could all know what you think and what you prefer with regard to this training and prevention activity. So have your say, vote today, vote now, vote November 3rd. This is a great practice to practice your voting skills today And hopefully we'll have more voting today than we will on November 3rd, and hopefully November 3rd we'll have more than we typically have. So we have more Americans voting, and we'll have more prevention specialists voting today. We're already up to over 40% of you having shared your votes. We're already over 50%. Over half of you have already voted today. Just 3 very simple, quick questions. And now I did get an email yesterday for our session, and one person wasn't able to vote for some reason. So if you're on just listening, sometimes your system doesn't allow voting for whatever the case is. So we understand that, but if you can vote, please do vote. And right now we're up to over 6 in 10 of you having voted. We'll give you just another minute or so. Would love to see it at least 7 out of 10, at least 70%. We'd like to always reach on our little polls here so that everybody who wants to have a chance to provide their opinion, they have a chance to do that. So just another minute or so, please do take a moment, vote. Very quick, just a couple of seconds. We're almost there. We're over right now, 2 out of 3 of you have voted, and we'd like that to be 7 out of 10 in just a moment. So almost ready to shut it down. We'll just give you another few more seconds and see if there's anybody else. 3 questions, and okay, we're all 68%. Maybe one more of you could vote. We'll reach that 70%. Please vote today and practice your voting skills. And yay, we've reached it. All right, I'm shutting her down. We're going to end the voting. Thank you. 7 out of 10 of you have voted today. That's an awesome percentage of participation. So let's take a look at it. Did you attend yesterday's session, PPW session? That's Prevention Plus Wellness webinar session, introducing sport and in shape. Actually, it's almost split evenly, but a little bit more of you did not. That means I do have to spend a little bit more time covering things that I did cover yesterday. For those of you that were on yesterday, please bear with me because I do need to walk people through this because we have a little over half that did not attend yesterday's session. So thank you for that. Question 2, which of the following are you most interested in when it comes to your prevention work? Vaping, e-cigarettes over marijuana, but it's really not that much different. And then the preferences, high school, and then middle school, and then elementary school in that order. So we'll start with vaping, we'll start with high school, and then I'll talk about similarities and differences across the other program, marijuana, PPW, as well as the other age groups, middle school and elementary school. Thank you for that feedback. 3, what other PPW programs would you like to learn more about? Sport. PPW. Well, we just had the session yesterday. There is a recording of that. You could request it, and I think we'll post that on our website, or you could just search for it under YouTube, Prevention Plus Wellness, and the sport. I think it was One Session Sport. PPW was called One Session Sport and In Shape Prevention Plus Wellness Programs. You'll be able to find it on YouTube. We just posted it yesterday. So you can hear that. And then after that, opioid is next. We'll be having that a webinar coming up shortly. And that's it, I think. Oh, it looks like also racial justice. A good number of you are interested in that as well. And we'll be having a free training for that coming up as well. So thank you for that feedback. And now I'm going to move that out of the way, and we're going to take a look at we'll start with the vaping high school version program, and then I'll discuss how that compares to the marijuana program, and again to the middle school and elementary school versions. So let me first of all pull up the high school vaping manual. There it is for you. You'll be able to, that's it right there. High school version. We do have a middle school, elementary school version, vaping as well as marijuana, PPW programs. Let's take a look at the contents. I'll go through this very quickly. Remember, if you have questions, if I'm going too quickly, if you have something you want me to stop, ask me. You could send me a note in live chat. Let's just pause right now and make sure there isn't anything important in live chat right now. So Can't vote. See, there's for some reason, sometimes people can't vote. I'm not sure what that's about. So, and I apologize for that. That's a Zoom thing, I guess. So anyway, table of contents. What is in your vaping, that's e-cigarette, and marijuana prevention plus wellness program? You're looking at it right here. This is the table of contents. Now, just a little background. The vaping and the marijuana prevention plus wellness programs, PPW programs, are modifications of our sport prevention plus wellness program. Now, sport PPW is our original evidence-based program. I say evidence-based because sport has been rigorously evaluated, found to be effective in preventing substance use and promoting physical activity. And sport focuses primarily on alcohol use. It does discuss other drugs a little bit, but primarily alcohol use. So that was the original sport, evaluated, actually shown to prevent alcohol, cigarettes, and marijuana, promoting physical activity. Even a year after, there were some effects from that single session sport program. And vaping and marijuana are adaptations or modifications of sport. So we took out the alcohol messages and we added e-cigarette messages or cannabis messages. And we did this because of professionals like you asked us and said, hey, we love sport, but we also want specific messages about how cannabis and how e-cigarettes interferes with these healthy behaviors and success in sports, in life, in school, in relationships. And that's why we created these more recent marijuana and vaping PPW programs, as well as the opioid PPW program and others. So we did that because you requested it. So if you have other requests, other interests, other needs, other topics, let us know. We're always listening. These more recent programs, the ones we're talking about today, we call them evidence-informed. They're founded on an evidence-based practices program, sport. They're based on an evidence-based, on a theoretical framework, the behavior image model. And I will say they're also use evidence-based practices, screening, and brief intervention. So even though marijuana and vaping PPW have not been evaluated at this point, at least no evaluation that's been published, they do use an evidence-based practices, screening, and brief intervention format. So keep that in mind. And like all of our prevention plus wellness programs, they include built-in pre and post tests, so you can monitor and assess their efficacy and the fidelity with which you implement them. That is included in your program. So let's take a look at your table of contents. You're looking at it right here. This is from the manual. There's a great introduction describing the vaping PPW program or the marijuana program. The table of contents are the same in both programs, vaping and marijuana. The second section or chapter is on step-by-step directions for implementation. You can follow that and you can implement your program. However, we highly, highly recommend that you do take the 2-hour online program implementer training. We've just found it to be invaluable for people to really understand the nuances of these programs and how to really make the best use of them and have them be most effective and implement them with the greatest level of fidelity. So keep that in mind. Really, we offer a 2-hour program implementers training. And then we also offer a 2-hour online train the trainer. And we offer a 1-hour online training for youth to implement our programs under a youth leadership training. And we'll be talking more about that next week, Wednesday, at that webinar. Section 3 is the screening and the goal plan contract. All prevention plus wellness programs are screening and brief interventions. That's evidence-based practices. They include 3 steps for implementation. Step number 1, you screen youth for the current health habits. That increases awareness of their health habits, not just substance use, but also protective wellness behaviors, physical activity, nutrition, breakfast, sleep, goal setting, I should say, controlling stress. Secondly, provide feedback on each of those behaviors that are screened, and you use positive image communication designed to cue or trigger positive images of themselves in the future using image evoking terms such as fit and active, successful. Those raise unconscious images young people have of themselves that increases motivation for change. And then, of course, you also talk about how your specific substance, whether it be cannabis, whether it be alcohol with sport, whether it be e-cigarettes and vaping, PPW, how those interfere with those wellness behaviors and positive benefits and images. Step 3, you walk young people through goal setting to set goals, to monitor goals. That's the self-regulation piece. That's the piece where young people develop skills to control their own behaviors, which they desperately need as young people, especially high-risk youth, need these self-control skills. And so you're going to teach them to set goals, to monitor goals, to change their behaviors a little bit at a time. This is a process, a long-term process. And this initiates a behavior change process, and it can be used to maintain behavior change over time. That's the goal setting. So it's screening, feedback, goal setting, 3-step process. That's why you have in section 3 a screening survey and a goal plan. You also have your screening survey and goal plan in your digital download. You'll have it as probably a Word doc. So you can make copies of it and implement it with as many youth as you want to for as long as you want. So that's section 3. Section 4, there's a protocol or a script, if you will, literally a script. You follow it, you read it to the youth, and that's to provide the program to youth individually. That could be in person or online. Section 5 is the group script. That's where you provide the program to 2 or more youth in person or online. Then there's new remote online protocols. We've actually updated them on our website. They're newer versions on our website. I'll show you where those are. These protocols allow you step-by-step, show you step-by-step how to implement your marijuana PPW program, vaping PPW program, sport, in shape, in God's image, racial justice, all of our PPW programs. It shows you how you can implement them online to youth, one at a time, in a group, in a combined fashion where some of your students may be physically in person in the classroom, and you're also streaming video to others, as well as by video, recorded video, as well as by telephone. All of these protocols are available on our website for you free. That's the remote online protocols. Lastly, we'll take a look at the evaluation materials. I already talked about the fact that we do have a pre and a post test that are included in our programs. This pre and post test comes in a scannable form. You can have youth complete it before the lesson, immediately after the lesson. You can scan it in any scanner printer. You can send it to us. We'll run a free analysis for you. We call it a PPW behaviors report card. So that comes in a scannable form. If you implement your program online, then that's a little different. Then you can use our link. We have a link to the pre-test and post-test. So you can have youth complete the pre and the post-test right then and there during your online lesson, and all the data is collected for you. No collection, no scanning. It's a beautiful thing. So I see that Damaris Rios has raised his hand. I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. Can you just, if you don't mind, just if you have a question, just type it in your chat section, and then I will get to that toward the end of the section. So if you have a question, if you have a comment, let us address those toward the end of today's session. But thank you for raising your hand. So that is the 7 sections you'll see in your vaping and your marijuana PPW programs, high school, middle school, elementary school. One correction to that. The elementary school version of these 2 programs is only available with the group script. There's no individual script with the elementary. We didn't think you'd be implementing this to young children individually, so there's only the group script for the elementary version. So I'm going to go past the introduction. I'm going to go past the step-by-step directions for implementation. Let's take a look at the screening survey. Remember the screening survey adaptation of the sport PPW program. So very similar, I would say almost identical to the sport prevention plus wellness program. First question is sports physical activities in the last year. There's a long list of them. And then they could write in some others that maybe not have been listed, including chores and work and that type of thing. Then there's a second question on what participation in regular physical activity defined as 30 minutes or more 4 or 5 times a week. Some examples there, riding a bike, running, walking, etc. Yes or no. The high school versions of both of these programs, that is vaping and marijuana, PPW, have this question, only the high school version. Question 3, what friends influence you to participate in regular physical activity, yes or no? That's a good question, and you get to address not just physical activity, but do your friends and family influence you to engage in unhealthy habits such as cannabis use or vaping? Question 4, do you usually eat a healthy breakfast each morning, for example? Answer is yes or no. Question 5 is about getting 8 or more hours of sleep. And then question 6 is, have you ever used any electronic or e-cigarettes, for example, a Juul, e-cig, e-hookah, etc., yes or no? Of course, the marijuana PPW program will, that question will be, have you ever used any marijuana? Smoked it, vaped it, had a product that had it infused in it that you ate or drank. And so that's the difference between the e-cigarette and the marijuana PPW programs. So that's it. You notice it's only going to be 5 questions, 6 questions, very quick. Most of them are yes or no. And so I'll show you how that's done here in just a minute. So that's your screening survey. This is a part of your intervention. Remember, this is step 1. You're going to try to get them, to think about their own habits. In this case, different types of physical activity, sports, nutrition, sleep, as well as, again, either e-cigarettes or marijuana. Then there's the wellness goal plan. We'll come back and take a look at the goal plan here in a minute. The first script that's available is the individual lesson. This is the lesson you'll use. This is the script you'll use if you present your program to one youth at a time, in person or online. So it is literally a script. The beauty of the script is, if I present it, or you present it, or we present it today or next week or next month or 5 years from now, it'll be the same lesson. It'll have that same level of fidelity and reliability because we have a script available to us. So that's the beauty of the script. Script also cuts down in the amount of training. That's why we can have a program implementer training that's only 2 hours in length, because you have a script to fall back on. All you have to do with all of the Prevention Plus Wellness programs is, after your training, practice till you get comfortable with the script, and then you can take your manual with you. You can glance down at your manual, focus on your youth, and present your lesson. But you have your script to fall back on, and if you practice it, it'll be like second nature. You'll have it almost memorized. It'll be very, very simple, very easy, very quick, and again, you'll have that fidelity across time and implementers and settings because you have your script that you'll be using. This is the script, the individual, the one-on-one script, if you present it to only one youth at a time. So this is our most, I think, while we haven't evaluated this, I suspect this is the most powerful approach, because you're going to tailor it to that one youth. You're sitting with that youth across from them, and you're talking about their health habits, and so it's almost like you're a personalized trainer for them. So very, very powerful, very positive kind of strategy. But not everybody can use this. That's why we have the group script. So no problems. You can have the individual script. You can use it. Some organizations, and by the way, these programs of ours, especially sport, being used across the nation, all 50 states and abroad. And we do see a lot of organizations, schools, and others that are using the vaping and marijuana PPW program, not just as a universal Prevention Plus Wellness program, in other words, for all youth, but sometimes even for high-risk youth. So kids that were caught vaping or using marijuana. And so as a secondary or selective or indicated intervention. If that's the case, really important, I think, to implement it to those higher risk youth individually if you can. So this is the individual script. And so, by the way, this program and these programs are being implemented in just about any setting you can think of where there are young people, in schools, after school, during school, juvenile justice, sports, recreation clubs, boys and girls clubs, YMCAs, you know, everywhere. So, health settings, etc. Why? It's just a single session. These are single session programs, very powerful, very brief, screening brief intervention, the most highly evaluated and shown to be effective strategy of any that we know of in literature, in the scientific literature, screening brief interventions. But we also give you other resources, and during training can talk to you about expanding beyond one session if you have the luxury of having access to your youth more than one time, two times, 3 times, 6 times, whatever. We will discuss with you how you could expand your single session vaping and marijuana PPW programs to address multiple sessions with you if you have that opportunity. So here it is, the individual lesson. You show your slide. There's your program slide. You're going to have to show that to your youth. Figure out how you do that. You're going to have it on a projected on a wall, on a screen. You can have it on a laptop, on a tablet. Some organizations even make hard copies of it, and sort of an old school, make a flip chart. Whatever you want. It's important to have youth see that messaging because a lot of young people are visual learners, and so this will go along nicely with your script. You're providing them feedback, and they'll be able to see something while you provide it. So there's first an introduction, very brief. You're just going to sort of set the stage for them, tell them this is going to be a great program, new program that's going to make them look better, feel better, improve their performance, physical activity, school, and relationships. So they're excited about it. You can expand that script if you want, that introduction. Second part, you're going to ask them to complete the Prevention Plus Wellness Health and Fitness Survey. This is the screening survey. This is the intervention, part of the intervention, step 1. So the purpose of surveys, determine what they're doing about their health. You're going to make sure that it's confidential, if not anonymous, and so they answer honestly, and that's what you want them to do. That's for their purposes, but you are going to also provide feedback depending on how they answered each of those screening survey questions. You already saw the screening survey questions. The first one is, physical activity in the last year. The second one, regular physical activity, all the way down to using e-cigarettes, or in the marijuana PPW program case, using cannabis. So you're going to provide feedback now. You've screened them for the current health habits with that health and fitness screen. And so the feedback, this is in the script, you're going to follow it. It's highlighted by yellow. You're going to follow, the feedback follows the sequence of the screening survey items. So you're going to actually ask, collect the screening survey from the youth, face-to-face with them. And then you're going to provide feedback. If that young person said yes, if they answered and checked yes, they got some physical activity, sports last year, you'll read the yes response. Yes is green, good, go, moving forward. And what does this sound like? What does it look like? You'll show the slide and you'll say, oh, I see you do some sports physical activities. Good for you. Sports physical activities are a great way to get regular exercise, fun, help you look fit and strong, as well as feel good about yourself, give you lots of energy, help you do better in school. So what you're doing with the first response, your first feedback item, is you're going to highlight the benefits of that wellness behavior. Remember, this is sports physical activities last year. You're going to highlight that, including any image terms. Fit and strong, very, very powerful image terms. They bring up unconscious images in the minds of young people. They think of themselves as fit or stronger. That's very motivational. That increases motivation for them to get a little bit more physical activity and exercise. Then you're going to link how e-cigarettes interferes with that, how it is a barrier to achieving that behavior and those images and outcomes. However, Vaping e-cigarettes and an active lifestyle don't mix. Using e-cigarettes like a Juul can hurt your health and affect how well you do in sports physical activity. E-cigarettes contain nicotine, other chemicals, harm brain development, lead to attention deficit disorder, reduce lung function, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see we're making a case, number one, highlighting the benefits, including the images, positive images of that wellness behavior. We're showing how e-cigarettes, or in the case of the marijuana PPW program, how marijuana, or in the case of sport or alcohol, interferes with physical activity. Now, if that youth, that one youth you're presenting this to, said, check no, they got no physical activity in the last year, instead of the yes response, which is green, good, go, you're going to read the no response, which is highlighted in red. Red, warning, higher risk. And what's the difference? Same slides, pretty much the same content. However, you'll see the introduction's different. I see you may not be playing sports or participate in any physical activities. You can really improve your health and how well you feel by being more active. So your initial response to that one youth is going to be either positive, good for you, congratulations, or it's going to be neutral. It looks like you may not be engaging in this. This is a great opportunity for you to improve yourself. So positive or neutral, no negative, because negative turns off listening. It turns young people off from listening to further messages. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to present feedback to this one youth individually based on how they answered that screening survey question. What happens if you do this online? How do you do that? You can't collect the screening survey and take a look at it. Well, the good news is that we've got the screening survey questions repeated in these slides. Let me show you here. So here you go. What sports or physical activities did you play in the last year? If you implement this to one youth online, you can have them just answer verbally. If they said some sports, you read the yes response. If they said, oh, I didn't get any sports, physical activities, you'll read the no response. So you can present this in person as well as online, no problem. It works either way, and it actually works both ways. You can actually provide it in person as well as stream it online at the same time. We have protocols for that. Let me just give you one more example of how this works. So we'll go to the second response, which is, remember, it's regular physical activity highlighted in yellow. That was the second screening survey question. You glance down if you have the survey that the youth completed and see how they answered. If not, you'll just show the slide again. You'll have them answer verbally. You know, do you usually participate in regular physical activity 30 minutes or more 4 or 5 times a week? If they said yes, you read the yes response. Yes is good, green, go, and I see you engage in regular physical activity. That's great. Then, of course, you're highlighting all the other benefits, positive images, and then you're going to also show the next slide. However, e-cigarettes interferes with being regularly physically active. How? It causes brain and lung damage, raises blood pressure, heart rate, results in physical dependence, etc. If they said no, they don't get regular physical activity, you read the no response. There it is in red. I see you may not be getting regular physical activity. To feel better and have a healthy heart and fit body, you should get some physical activity. Okay, I think you understand this. Now, if you don't, you can ask me a question in the chat section. And you'll go back and you'll just go through this script and you'll provide that feedback to that one youth in person or online until you get done all the way through all your script. When you get to the substance use content, which in this case, the vaping program, the substance use content is about e-cigarettes. When you get to that, you're going to notice there are more slides than just 2 because we're addressing more risk factors known to influence youth substance use. So for example, there's a slide about how e-cigarette can cause life problems. There's content in the slide about e-cigarette myths. I think the biggest myth for e-cigarettes is that they're safer than combustible cigarettes. There's a content on most youth don't use e-cigarettes or cannabis for that matter, and or alcohol, and that's a social norm message, very important social norm message. healthy alternatives to vaping, which includes not just avoiding, but also engaging in other healthy behaviors. Plan ahead, and there's those recommendations for wellness. Recommendations for wellness: avoid e-cigarettes, but also other substances, get adequate sleep, eat breakfast, healthy breakfast, eat plenty of fruits and vegetables, get plenty of movement, physical activity, movement, sports, anything that's fun on a regular basis, regular daily basis. Then when you're done presenting your feedback, yes or no, it's going to cue you, and your script says, now complete the goal plan contract. Take out your goal plan and walk through the goal plan with the youth. What is the goal plan? Well, we'll go back into that third section of your manual. We'll take a look at the goal plan very quickly so you can see what we're talking about. This is the third part, the third step in your intervention. First step, screening. Second step, feedback, which you just presented. Third step, goal plan. Here's the goal plan in the Vaping PPW program, high school version. You're going to make these recommendations. That was one of the slides. Recommendations for wellness includes all those things. You're going to ask them to make a pledge to avoid e-cigarettes, but also tobacco, alcohol, and other drug use in the next 7 days. Why? In order to maintain an active, healthy lifestyle. Notice we're linking that those powerful images with the avoidance of e-cigarettes, or in the marijuana, PPW, marijuana, etc. And in addition, you're going to have your youth and assist them to write one wellness promoting behavior for the next 7 days. It's going to be number one, specific or measurable. Number two, they're going to identify a quantity. And number three, they're going to identify a frequency. So you walk them through that process. And you can do this in person and have a copy of the goal plan. If you do it online, you could have the youth complete it on a blank sheet of paper. Then they'll sign it and you co-sign it. That increases motivation. And then very, very important closing statement where you recommend where to post it and to monitor their goals over time. And then you sort of give them a little coaching or motivational interviewing to increase their motivation to keep setting goals week after week, small, measurable, achievable goals, so that over a month or two, they'll actually have some significant behavior change. So what does the group script look like compared to that individual script? Well, the group script's a little bit easier. You're presenting it to the group, so it's not tailored to any particular individual. Same slides, and you follow the introduction. Introduction is very similar. You're going to highlight that this is going to be a great new program to make you look better, feel better, improve your performance, physical activity, school relationships. You're going to have your group, whether in person or online, complete a fitness screen. If they're in person, you can have them, give them a hard copy. If they're online, you can have them complete it by showing the slides of the questions and having them complete it on a blank sheet of paper. And then you're going to provide feedback to the whole group. First feedback is about sports physical activity in the last year. This is a little different, this first part, because you're actually going to have them raise their hands if they've engaged in any of these healthy behaviors. That's going to be a very powerful and positive social norm message. Hey, look at my peers are physically active. If they're online, you can have them respond verbally if you got a small group. You can have them respond depending on what kind of options you have. I think on Zoom option, I think there is a hand raise, so you can have them just like somebody did earlier, just raise your hand. How many of you did play basketball in the last year? Even if you just dribbled a basketball, shot a basketball, raise your hand. So you can have your youth click on that, and everybody who's online will be able to see, oh, there's some hands being raised. Some of my peers are playing basketball. That's a great message. Then you'll continue with your feedback, the benefits of physical activity, same slides, virtually the same content, good for you. Sports physical activity is a great way to get exercise. Then how e-cigarettes interferes with that. And all the way through, you're going to present that feedback to your group, whether it's in person or online, and then you're going to walk them through the goal plan. That's what you'll be doing if you implement this to a group that's 2 or more in person or online, or in person and online. We also have an optional interactive exercise. So if you have your group a second time, this is an actual second lesson you can provide them if you want to. So it's completely optional and it's up to you. The online protocols are on our website. I'll show you where those are in a minute. And then under evaluation, we've got a couple of things here. The first, I think, are very important. This is the pre-test and post-test. Now, because your lesson may be just one session, you want to measure it. And we've developed a pre and post test that allows you to assess the youth at that moment in time, so you can assess how that lesson, how effective that lesson was. And so unlike your previous experiences of most prevention providers across the nation, where they don't know how effective they have been, they might have an epidemiologic survey every year, biannually, they get a sense of it, but they don't really know how this program worked with their youth and how they did when they implemented it. These measures, this pre and post test will let you know exactly, very focused, right on, how did your students do with your lesson, with this particular lesson, whether it be the vaping PPW lesson, a marijuana PPW lesson, sport PPW, etc. Because you will be assessing them before the lesson and immediately after the lesson. You don't even have to follow up because of all the expense and cost and challenges with that. How can you do that? Well, we do that because we measure two indicators of behavior change. They're not behavior change, they're indicators. They're the best predictors of behavior change, a future change, a future behaviors. The first measure in the next year, how likely are you to, is a measure of behavioral intentions, the most effective assessment of future behavior. Notice we're not just measuring, in this case, e-cigarettes, but marijuana, tobacco, or cigarettes, alcohol, other illegal drugs, as well as the 4 wellness behaviors, physical activity, nutrition, sleep, and stress control. And then the second measure is a measure of perceived harmfulness, susceptibility, or risk. If you used any of these regularly, would they harm your health or health habits? And this measure will be inversely related, negatively related to actual use. So in other words, as perceived harm for e-cigarettes goes up, youth use will go down, and vice versa. So that's the pre-test. Notice it's scannable, just like the post-test, scannable. You can collect it, have youth fill it out with a pencil or dark pen, scan it in any printer scanner, send it to us. We'll run an initial assessment. If you present this online, we can give you a customized link for your organization. So your youth, when they complete it, your data will be separate from everybody else's. So I can give you a pre-test and a post-test link customized to your organization to collect your pre and post-test. Same exact measures in the post-test, except 2 very important open-ended measures. So you get to collect qualitative data, which helps also understand your quantitative data. We also have an instructor survey. It's a self-assessment, very important, so that you learn how to make sure you implement your vaping or marijuana PPW program effectively. Now, so for example, number 3, you assess your level. What was your level of enthusiasm and passion? It should be on the high end, 3 to 4. And then you could self-assess that. You could also have your supervisor or manager use this tool, this instructor survey, as a observational tool to assess you implementing the program. And there's also a checklist, a fidelity checklist that's provided. So let me just take a quick, show you a little something here, show you the slides. Let's shift over to the marijuana. Let me expand these so you can see these. If you present your slides to youth online, this is what you should do. You can expand them so that they're most visible. Notice the slides along with your script will cue you as to what's going on. Also, the youth will be cued. They're going to know that right off the bat after the introduction that they're going to need to complete a health and fitness screen. And if you have youth online, they can complete the screen on a blank sheet of paper because there are the questions for them. They can complete those right on a blank sheet of paper. So everybody, whether they're in person or online, whether they have a hard copy of the screening survey or a blank sheet of paper, they'll be able to answer these questions. Put number 1 and answer yes or no to it. Put a number 2, answer yes or no to it, and so forth. And then you're going to provide feedback. But notice that first question is repeated again. Did you play any sports physical activities last year? This is an elementary school version. I just wanted to contrast you with it. This is the marijuana, by the way. And you can see the difference. Rather than seeing older adolescents, you're seeing these cute little kids. But your first slide is highlighting the benefits and images of engaging physical activity, and then how, in this case, marijuana, this is the marijuana program now we're looking at, can hurt your ability to be active and have fun and move and so forth. There's the second question. Do you play sports physical activities 30 minutes most days a week? There's the benefits of that, great images, great pictures. We also have built in now slides that ask discussion questions. This will help your group, whether in person or online, stay engaged. So what types of sports physical activities would you like to try or do more of? You could have people raise their hands. You could take a couple of responses and then move on. This is also important because it gets young people to think about their own lifestyle. So very, very critical. So, and you could have them raise their hands. You could have them answer live chat. You could answer verbally, depending on the size of your group and whether it's in person or online. And then when you get to the end of this completed goal contract, if you have just youth online, you can use these slides, which are designed just for youth online to complete a goal plan. So they can complete it on a blank sheet of paper. Do you pledge to avoid using marijuana and other drugs next 7 days to maintain an active, healthy lifestyle? They put a number 1 on their sheet of paper and answer yes or no. You're going to then have them write a specific wellness behavior in one of these 4 areas, A, B, C, D. It's going to be about sleep, about breakfast or nutrition, about exercise, about stress control. So you're going to walk them through goal setting on a blank sheet of paper. That's what these slides are for. Or you could show your hard copy of the goal plan that you have in your program manual and digital download. So that, very quickly, I'm showing you just a lot of stuff, back and forth things. The only other thing I wanted to share with you today is I wanted to share with you our website, which has some really important resources for you. So here's our website, preventionpluswellness.com. If you haven't been to this website, please do go. You'll see a pop-up window and you can just drop in your email address and then you'll be up to date because we'll send you email blasts of all our upcoming webinars and other resources. You want to know more about our programs? There's our program list. You want to know more about our training, online training for program implementers, for train the trainers, for youth leadership, right there. But the main, and then if you want to read our blogs and our news, it's right there. If you want tools, here's the tools. Here's the tools, and all these tools are free. As you just look down the list, you can see there's COVID-19 resources. There's a bunch of tools. There's how to promote your Prevention Plus Wellness program. If you go to the bottom, healthy lifestyle guidelines for youth, and PPW youth and teacher resources, just a ton of things available there for you, all free for your use, even if you don't use Prevention Plus Wellness programs. If you use Prevention Plus Wellness programs, during our 2-hour training, we'll show you how you can use these resources to extend your program to more than 1 session if you want to sustain it, to maintain it, to improve it, to evaluate it, to tailor it, all these other things. We discussed that in the training. All right, let me stop at this point and see if there are any questions anybody has, and we can have a discussion at this point. See if you have anything you want me to focus on, answer, address in any particular way. I'm just going to expand this so it's a little bit easier for me to see. Let me shift my glasses to my better reading glasses. So, all right, so we've got a question here or comment from Tanya. Good afternoon. My name's Denise. Even though it's from Tanya. There you go. I'm confused now. I did not register for this meeting and I've received this link to join. If you're sending everyone a certificate, PowerPoint notes via email, my email address is, well, I'll send it to Tanya, who's registered, and Tanya can forward it to you, Denise, okay? because I'm not going to be able to copy that down at this point. So I hope that'll work. I'll send the email. I'll send my follow-up email, which includes a link to this recorded session and a certificate for completion. I'll send it to Tanya, assuming she's the one that registered, and Tanya can forward it to you because you've been online. In the future, please do register so that you get communications. And I think that should work. Let me know if it doesn't, Denise. Will you be sharing the link to the online survey? Are we able to access print results for auditing purposes? Great question, and that's from Michelle. So Michelle, if you go to our website, I just showed it to you a moment ago, preventionpluswellness.com, and the tools. The first tool was COVID-19 resources. And if you click on that, you'll see the pre and post test link. So you'll be able to explore the pre-test and the post-test. Those are online, as well as the instructor survey, which is also now online. So you can see all of those. And if you're using our programs, we could send you a customized link. That is a link that says, instead of pre-test online survey, it'll say for your organization, whatever your organization's name is, Michelle's organization, pre-test and post-test link. So I'll ask you for a 3 to 6 letter prefix to put in front of the title of the pre-test and the post-test, so that, and even the instructor survey if you want, so that those data will be kept just for you. So let me know if that answers your question, Michelle. How long is the single session? The lessons that you present, whether that be marijuana, PPW, vaping, PPW, sport, whatever, generally are about, for the young people, adolescents to children, are about, I'd say 40 minutes, 50 minutes, but it really depends. It's up to you on how much time you spend on the discussion slides and how much time you spend on the goal setting. So those are the open-ended items. The rest is pretty, straightforward. We've measured it. We know the screening survey, very quick. If you use a pre-post test, very quick, only a couple of minutes. So you can get this, and you can practice it to get it into a period that'll fit, that will fit within most organizations. And you can expand it easily too. Some organizations and schools and so on will have 90 minutes. You could easily expand it to 90 minutes. You can easily contract it to a certain length. But you do want to implement screening, feedback, goal setting in one session, if at all possible. We discussed that in our program implementer training and can help you with that. Okay, thank you for that question. That was Mary. And then Mary also asked, can you use the screening survey to ID individuals in need of further selected intervention? I suppose it's possible. It's not designed to do that. In fact, as you may have seen, we highlight that they shouldn't put their name or any identifier on those. That said, I do know there are some organizations that use our programs, and through that process and that discussion and so on, they're able to identify kids at higher risk. And then those they refer for additional intervention, counseling, other programs, etc. So it can be done. It's not made to do that, but it can be done, and it is being used in that particular way. And again, if we train you, we can discuss that and tailor that training and address that issue specifically for you, how to best do that. And hopefully I've answered that question. This is my email. I work for elementary schools. Okay. Thank you. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? So we've got a little bit more time, a few more minutes. Let me just make sure. I don't want to leave out. There's a Q&A here that we missed. Let's see where can I get the survey manual? The survey manual, I'm not sure what you mean by that. If you're talking about the program manual, those are for sale on our website under programs, right there, programs. Those are the programs. Those are for purchase. They're $4.99 a manual. If you want our training, if you want a 2-hour online training, that's $199 for the training per person. We also have online training of trainer, youth leadership training. Somebody asked about the COVID resources. I'm going to click on it and pull it up for you so you can see it. If you scroll down, there's a 1-hour recorded session on providing PPW programs online. There's also the slides from that training, but look at, there's the pre-test survey. There's the link, SurveyMonkey link. You can click on it and look at it. There's the post-test link. There's the instructor survey link. So you can look at these, but you wouldn't use these necessarily. You would ask us to provide you with a customized link so that your organization's data is separate from everybody else's. But you can look at the questions very easily. There's that pop-up window, finally. I don't know why it took so long. And then you could drop your email in there, and that's where you'll be on our mailing list to be kept up to date. So let me check one more time. I showed you where the survey, pre-post surveys are. Showed you where to get more information. If you want to find out more about our programs, you can point at programs, and you could click on, you know, Vaping Prevention Plus Wellness and pull that up, and you could read more about the Prevention Plus Wellness program. And there it is right there. If you want a sample of any of our programs, point on programs. There's, by the way, our electronic catalog. There's an order form. You go to the very bottom here and request a sample. Right there, you click on that, and you can just put in your name, email, and what sample you want, and we'll email you a redacted sample of the program for you to review. And as I said, there's the training, there's some more tools, there's the news or the blogs. Let's take a look at the news and the blogs. There they are. There's a lot of great things about our webinars and about research and about discounts, etc. I see there may be one more chat note, a question. Let's see what it is. For information purposes, is it true that if students get caught vaping on campus, they can be brought up on criminal charges? So that, I think, I'm not entirely sure about that question. I think that would depend upon your laws in your region. You'd have to check with the regional laws. You know, sometimes that there may be charges, there may be a fine, there may be a fee, and that may or may not be actually, you know, administered. You know, there's laws, and then there's whether, you know, on the books, and then there's whether police are actually going to bother with doing that. The more important point, I think, here is that if young people do get caught, and an organization knows that you can provide them with a program like vaping or marijuana PPW or sport PPW in lieu of suspension, in lieu of a punishment, in lieu of other kinds of punitive outcomes, more educational, more motivational, and get youth back on the right track. Do I need to inform parent for a student participating in the program, elementary level or whatever level? That's a great question. That also depends on your organization policy. So, in my experience across the nation, most schools and organizations do not have to do that, or they have a blanket permission from parents, or it falls within the heading of education and prevention. Other cases, they might have to request permission. If you have to request permission, my recommendation is to have that kind of a permission where youth have to opt out of the program. Otherwise, if you have youth if they have to ask parents to give permission, you're going to lose a lot of youth that can participate and maybe even higher risk youth. So hopefully you don't have to ask parents for permission, but if you do, try to make it a kind of a permission where they have to opt out. If they don't want their kids to participate, they have to respond. That way you'll have more youth participate in your program. But it really goes back to the organization you're working with or through, and their policy with working with parents. Excellent, thank you. Fresh Ministries, thank you very much. Thank you. Email, thank you very much, everybody. If you need to reach me, if you want to request something from me, you could just email me at info@preventionpluswellness.com. Also, look at our website. See in the right-hand corner, it says message us. Just click on that. And then you could drop a message in there to me. And you could ask me for anything you want, anything you need. Just go to preventionpluswellness.com, click on that message us, drop in your little message, and that way you can reach me right away. Let me just check one last time, make sure I didn't miss any others. Looks like there were maybe one more chat note or two. They're just thank yous. Thank you guys. Have a great afternoon. God bless you for what you do. Keep up the good work. Take care of yourselves. And if there's anything I could do, let me know if I could help. Have a good day and stay safe. Bye, everyone.